بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, last week we started the tafsir of Surah Al-Fatihah, and last week was more of an introduction to Surah Al-Fatihah, and today inshallah we will take the actual tafsir of Surah Al-Fatihah. So last week we took a number of things. We took the names of Surah Al-Fatihah. Well, we took the introduction of the author first, and then we took the names of Surah Al-Fatihah, the virtues of Surah Al-Fatihah, some of the topics of Surah Al-Fatihah, the objectives of Surah Al-Fatihah. We also took the basmala, and we took the isti'aza as well, يعني أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, and also Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And today's lesson, inshallah, we will take Surah Al-Fatihah. Now you guys know normally I test you guys in the beginning, right? However, just for today, because we've got a lot to take today, I'm not going to test you. So, you're smiling, huh? But that means you're going to get tested on everything we took last week and before that, and everything we take today, next week, inshallah. So, the plan, inshallah, if we're able to, the lesson might be a bit longer than normal, but I want to really try and finish all of Surah Al-Fatihah. And with Surah Al-Fatihah, I'm going to go into more detail than I would do for the other surahs. And that is because Surah Al-Fatihah is a surah that we recite more than the other surahs. We recite in every single rak'ah. So it's very important for not only a student of knowledge, but for a Muslim generally to know the meanings of Surah Al-Fatihah. Especially it being the greatest surah in the Quran. The meanings are basically endless. So I didn't want to just suffice you with, the general meanings, which are normally mentioned by many people in many lectures and so on, but I wanted to give you as much information as possible in regards to Surah Al-Fatihah. And as for the rest of the surahs, then it will be like a medium explanation. We'll mention what's in the book and we'll add a little bit more to that as well. And we're not going to read from the book today. So what I'm going to do, today's explanation is just make sure you guys write. So you have to be writing a lot today. And then next week, inshallah, we'll read through what Shaykh Usaymi says in the book, inshallah. Okay? Because I'm going to be adding a lot more, so I don't want to mix up the two. So we'll just read that next week, inshallah. So we took isti'aza, and now we've taken the basmala. So now we are starting with the first ayah of Surah Al-Fatihah, which is Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, which generally is translated to all praise to Allah, the Lord of all worlds. The word Alhamd, first, the way I'm going to do it, inshallah, is give you the general meaning of the ayah. Then after that, go through many of the benefits from that ayah, inshallah. So, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdu, we explained what that meant last week. We said Alhamdu means praising the one being praised with his perfect names and attributes out of love and veneration. Out of love and veneration. And we explained the meaning of this last week. Did I give you a homework as well? I did, didn't I? I just remembered. The difference between Alhamd and Shukr. That was one, and there was another question as well. Huh? Hamd Shukr, that was one. What else? And Athana. Right, do you guys do it? You do it? No, all of it. No.
Is it the difference between this, the action heart and...
Yeah, on the right lines. You want to go there? Right. Make sure next week I want it in. I want it written. Handwritten. I want you guys to give it in, inshallah, okay? Now. So that is the meaning of the word Alhamd. And all of that is for Allah, Rabbil Alameen, Rabb. Anyone remember the definition of the word Rabb that Shaykh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah gave? He mentioned it in Usool Athalaatha.
It's the word that has the most right to be used when you're asking Allah for something.
That's the ending. What's the beginning?
the nurturer, the guider, the provider, one who grants victory, the creator, and
Good, خلاص, you got most of it now. He says, Ar-Rabbu huwa al-Murabbi. The meaning of Ar-Rabb is, firstly, Murabbi, the nurturer. Al-Khaliq, the creator. Al-Raziq, the provider. Al-Nasir, the one who gives victory. The one who gives victory. Al-Hadi, the guider. So he says the meaning of the Rabb is the nurturer, the creator, the provider, the one who gives victory, and the guider. And then he says, وَهَذَا الْإِسْمُ, and this name has the most right to be used, and this name has the most right to be used when seeking help or asking for a need. When seeking help or asking for a need. And the explanation of this we gave in Usool Athalaatha. We mentioned how if you look at majority of the du'as of the prophets, all of them started with the word Rabb. رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا رَبِّ هَبْ لِي مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ, and so on. And then Al-Alamin. What does Al-Alamin mean? Now with Al-Alamin, in the actual Arabic language, it means worlds, but it doesn't mean worlds as in planets, but rather it's referring to alam. You will say alamul jinn, the world of the jinn, the world of the angels, the world of mankind. That type of world, that's the meaning what is intended by al-alamin. So it includes all of that. So when you mean worlds, it doesn't mean planets, rather it means worlds of different types of creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Different types of creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, that's the meaning like in the Arabic language, but the meaning here is that it includes all of the creation of Allah. The meaning here is that it includes all of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the proof for this is another ayah. The proof for this is another ayah in Surah Ash-Shu'ara. Surah Ash-Shu'ara. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قَالَ فِرْعَوْنُ وَمَا رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. And Fir'aun said, who is Rabbul Alameen? Musa alayhi salam told him to believe in Rabbul Alameen. So he said, who is Rabbul Alameen? And the reply was, قَالَ رَبُّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا إِن كُنْتُم مُوقِنِينَ. The Lord of the heavens and the earth and everything between them. The Lord of the heavens and the earth and everything between them. i.e., all of the creation. All of the creation. So this tafsir of the word alameen, meaning all of creation basically, what type of tafsir did we use to prove that? We took in the introduction. Tafsir al-Quran bil-Quran. We explained the Quran with another ayah in the Quran. Have you listened to all the lessons, by the way?
Yes, just not the last one.
Just not the last one? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, make sure you catch up, inshallah. Yeah?
You know what verse this was in?
20 something. Now in this ayah there are a number of benefits. Firstly, in this ayah is an indication that we should that we should not only always praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we should start our actions by praising Allah, because the surah is started and the Quran is started with the praise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As mentioned in Tafsir At-Tabari and Tafsir Ibn Kathir. Also from the benefits is that it shows that all types of praise is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All types of praise is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is because, firstly, the alif wal lam in the word hamd, the alif wal lam in the word hamd. When you study Arabic, a basic level Arabic, you learn the alif wal lam is just to make a word ma'rifah, right? However, when you study higher, you learn that all of these, these different letters and huruf and so on, they have a lot more meanings to it. So the benefit of this alif wal lam here is that the ulama say al-istighraq. Al-istighraq meaning it includes every single type of praise. Istighraq makes it general, including every single type of praise. And also in the word Allah, before the word Allah is the lam. This lam, the Medina Baqwan students, what's this lam called? Fatihah al-kitabu li Muhammadin lam al-mulk, the sole possession. So not only does it sole possession here, but the ulama also add to that, they say al-istihqaq wal-ikhtisas. Al-istihqaq wal-ikhtisas. Al-istihqaq meaning deserving, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is deserving of this praise, and al-ikhtisas, it's only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all types of praise are only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He is deserving of all these different types of praises. Another benefit is in the word alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, this is known as jumla ismiyah, a sentence which is basically starts with an ism, starts with a noun. It doesn't start with a verb. So we don't say I am praising Allah. We say all praises belong to Allah. And there's a slight difference between the two. There's a slight difference between the two. If I said to you, Salah is at 7 o'clock, and if I said, I prayed at 7 o'clock, is there a difference in meaning? Could be what? No, I prayed wherever Salah is. The only difference is the verb and the noun. So one I'm saying Salah or Salat al-Isha is at 7. And then the other time I say I prayed Salat al-Isha at 7.
So when you're saying when Salah is, when you're saying that I prayed.
Good. So one is saying when Salah is, and the other is saying just when I did that one action. That's the main thing. When you do a fi'l, a verb, that just shows that you did it once. Yeah? But if you mention an ism, a noun, it shows that is always the case, and it shows that is basically always the case. So Salah is at 7, right? Every day is at 7. Unless I say obviously on this particular day, but generally if I say Salah is at 7, it means every single day Salah is at 7. For example, now it's at 6:30, right? Right, and I think all winter it says 6:30. Yeah? So if I say Isha Salah, Masjid Salam is at 6:30, right, it's 6:30 all the time. But if I say, today I prayed at 6:30, right, then what you benefit is that today that's the time you prayed. But what about next week? Will you pray at that same time? Last week did you pray at that same time? No. So when you say Alhamdulillah, the benefit here is all praises, all of the time are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not just now because I'm saying it, but before, after, all time. Why? Because we've used a noun instead of a verb. Another benefit is Alhamdulillah. Now, the word Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is used, and the meaning of the word Allah means it's from the word aliha ya'lahu ma'luhan, which means ma'budin, i.e. something which is worshipped. Something which is worshipped. And this is referring to the uluhiyyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he says that Allah means, so what is the meaning of the word Allah? He says that Allah means the possessor of divinity and worship over all of creation. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he says the meaning of Allah is the possessor of divinity and worship over all creation. And this is mentioned in, I'll say the name of the book, and if anyone, you guys tell me which author it is. Jami' al-Bayan and Ta'wil Ayah al-Quran. Jami' al-Bayan. No, that's Adwa al-Bayan. Jami' al-Bayan and Ta'wil Ayah al-Quran. تفسير القرآن العظيم, that's Ibn Kathir. لا, that's just تفسير زمان. طبري, the tafsir of Imam Al-Tabari. Now, so if we learn that that is the meaning of the word Allah, then the benefit we can take here is that so in the word Allah we're going to take at the end, the whole surah is full of Tawheed of Allah and all three types of Tawheed. So we can even argue that the name Allah, because we use the name, that's Tawheed Al-Asma wa Sifat. But in terms of meaning, in the word Allah we have Uluhiyyah, because that's the meaning of the word Allah. But then we have Rabbul Alameen, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And Rabb is Tawheed Al-Rububiyyah. So the ulama mentioned, why does Allah mention His Uluhiyyah before His Rububiyyah? Why does Allah mention His Uluhiyyah before His Rububiyyah? They mention two reasons for it. Firstly, that the word Allah is not only the greatest name of Allah, which in itself is a different issue, which is the greatest name of Allah, the ulama differ, but it's also a name which is only for Allah. It's a name which is only for Allah. If you say Allah, everyone knows who you're referring to. It's a name which is khas for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So He started off with that name. As for the word Rabb, we said the Rabb can be used even in Arabic. If somebody is in charge of a house, they can say Rabbul Bayt. Linguistically it makes sense. But if I, the master of the house, the person in charge of the house. The second reason they mention is because, and we took this in Qawaaid Al-Arba. What was the first principle? Go on, Ryan.
That the mushrikeen at the time of the Prophet they had Tawheed in Lordship, but not Tawheed in worship.
Yeah, so the mushrikeen had Tawheed in Rububiyyah, that did not enter them into Islam. Showing that the main issue was what? In Uluhiyyah. The issue, so Allah started with the issue that the mushrikun had. The main, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started with the main reason why the prophets and messengers were sent, which is to establish Tawheed. And we said Tawheed, the specific meaning is Tawheed Al-Uluhiyyah. Tawheed Al-Uluhiyyah. And we can add a third one, which I've not got here, but Allah Alam, you can maybe add it, is that if you establish Tawheed Al-Uluhiyyah, automatically establishes Rububiyyah. Because Uluhiyyah meaning, do you know what Uluhiyyah means? Rububiyyah? No. This is important. If you've taken books, because obviously we're doing this book after we finish the previous book, right? So these type of terminologies, I'm not going to repeat what they mean. But in simple terms, because you don't know, listen to Usool Athalaatha, inshallah. We went through it. Uluhiyyah basically means to worship Allah alone. And Rububiyyah means that Allah is the one who created and did all the actions He provides and so on. So if we provide the uluhiyyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if we establish the uluhiyyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He is all deserving of worship, that includes Rububiyyah. Because the one who deserves all worship has to be the one who has all these actions of Rububiyyah. If something can't create, if something can't guide, if something can't provide, then that is not deserving of worship.
What's the first reason? Why would it be?
Because that is a name which is specific to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And upon an opinion, it's the greatest name of Allah.
So the opinion is it's greater than the word Rabb.
Sorry? Yeah. Also, another benefit in this ayah is Rabbul Alameen. This is also a name of Allah, but as you can see, there's two words. So that shows us that the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are of two types. The names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are of two types. Singular, and idafa. Right, idafa, I'll explain what that means. Singular and idafa. Idafa, for those who know Arabic, basically mudaf, mudaf ilayh. Those words where you have to put two of them together. So for example, Rabbul Alameen. The singular ones is like Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, and so on. But the ones with idafa are those words which only make full sense when they are together. Alimul Ghayb, for example. The one who knows about the unseen. Malikul Mulk, Rabbul Alameen, and so on. Yeah. So this is in regards to the first ayah. Now we move on to the second ayah, which is Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Now, with Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, we've explained the meanings of the two words when we talked about the basmalah. But we can mention a few other benefits. The first benefit is in regards to the munasabah of this ayah. The munasabah of this ayah. And munasabah we explained last week. Basically, munasabah is regarding, why is this ayah put in this certain place, or why is this surah put in this certain place, and so on. And obviously it differs depending on what you are exactly referring to. Here, the munasabah, i.e., we're referring to why is this ayah placed after the previous ayah. Why is Allah mentioned Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim after Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, and not the other way around? There's two reasons. There are two reasons. The first reason is after explaining that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after affirming Allah's uluhiyyah, that He's deserving of all worship. And secondly, His rububiyyah, that He is the creator and the provider and the controller of all affairs. A person may think, it may come to their head that this is a Lord who, because of these characteristics mentioned in the first ayah, then it could come to a person's mind that this is a Lord who is maybe oppressive, or a Lord who is really mighty in the sense that He forces people to worship Him, or He's cruel, and so on. So to get rid of that doubt, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the second ayah, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful and the bestower of mercy, depending on the tafsir of Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, as we explained last week. So the description of mercy came so that a person's hope can be increased in the reward of Allah and in the forgiveness of Allah, and so on. And the second reason mentioned, the first one is mentioned in Tafsir of Abu Hayyan. The second reason that some ulama mentioned is that it's an explanation of the type of rububiyyah of Allah. The second reason the ulama mention is that the rububiyyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, i.e. Him creating us, Him providing for us, Him controlling our affairs and so on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need of us. But the fact that Allah still does this, it shows the greatness of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It shows the greatness of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It shows that His rububiyyah is built upon rahmah, that He's done this due to His mercy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala still creates, provides, cares for us, nurtures us, gives us victory. Why? Because of His rahmah. Because of His rahmah. And the third reason is that it explains the type of rububiyyah. So the second was, why does Allah do all of the actions of rububiyyah? The third is, this rububiyyah, what is the type of it? What type of rububiyyah is this? So we learned that this is a rububiyyah which is built upon the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's mentioned by Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah. The third ayah.
Can't you say after Allah affirms His worship, then His lordship, then Allah wants to talk about His names and attributes, His sifat salat?
I'm going to talk about that at the end, but you can argue even before that. Allah, is that not a name of Allah? Rabbul Alameen, is that not a name of Allah?
Yeah, I guess.
Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim is also a name, so yeah.
Thank you.
Barakallahu fik. The third ayah, Maliki Yawmiddin. Maliki Yawmiddin. Firstly, the munasabah of this ayah. Maliki Yawmiddin meaning normally translated as the owner of the Day of Judgment. We'll get to the meanings inshallah. The munasabah of this ayah is that after mentioning the mercy of Allah, and by the way, after the mercy, you can mention many ahadith and many things regarding mercy. There's many ahadith regarding it. And in fact, this is the second homework for you guys. Is gather some of the ahadith and some of the texts which talk about the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And maybe next week if you guys revise properly and you do both of the homeworks, I'll reward you with something next week, inshallah. Inshallah. If you guys do it, you'll like it, inshallah. You'll like the reward. But you have to attend. You have to attend. That reward isn't given to anyone who's absent. Now, so after Allah shows His rahmah, and by the way, next week's lesson is back to Friday, yeah? It's on Friday, it's just this week because I'm traveling tomorrow. After Allah mentions His rahmah, His mercy, a person may think that they can do what they want because Allah will just forgive them, right? But then the third ayah is an indication that no, in fact Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whilst He is all merciful, He is also the owner of that day where you will be held to account for your actions and you will be rewarded or compensated depending on your actions. If it's good, then you will be rewarded with good, and if it is bad, then you will be recompensated with bad, i.e. hellfire. And this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentions in the Quran. Very, very powerful ayah. Allah says in Surah Hijr, ayah 49 and 50. Surah Hijr, ayah 49 and 50. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, نَبِّئْ عِبَادِي أَنِّي أَنَا الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. Inform my slaves that I am the all forgiving, the all merciful. Inform my slaves that I am the all forgiving, the all merciful. وَأَنَّ عَذَابِي هُوَ الْعَذَابُ الْأَلِيمُ. The next ayah, and also inform them, أَنَّ عَذَابِي, that verily my punishment, هُوَ الْعَذَابُ الْأَلِيمُ, it is the painful punishment. It is a painful or severe punishment. So let's look at these two, the ayah and the ayah straight after it. Allah in the first ayah mentions that inform my slaves, ayah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, inform my slaves that I am all forgiving and all merciful. But also inform them that my punishment is the most severe of punishments. So Allah combined between the two. He combined between fear and hope. He combined between fear and hope, and that's how a Muslim should be. Should be always between fear and hope. And we talked about this in Usool As-Sunnah. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, he says that a person in his path towards Allah should be like a bird, where his two wings are fear and hope, and the head is love. So, and which one should be more? Depending on the situation. If a person is about to do a sin, then he should have more fear of Allah so that he stops doing that sin. And if he, let's say he's on his deathbed, then he should have more hope and good thoughts about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If he does a good deed, or if he's making dua, then he should have good thoughts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept his dua whilst making that dua, and so on. So it depends on the situation of the person. And this is one of the meanings of Sab'ul Mathani that we mentioned last week. Remember, one of the names of Surah Fatihah, Sab'ul Mathani, the oft-repeated ayat, and we said that it's not only in wording, but it's in meaning as well. So here, what has Allah done? He's mentioned two meanings together, fear and hope together, fear and hope together. Allah mentions that a lot in the Quran. He mentions them together a lot. Another issue in Maliki Yawmiddin is the different qira'at in the word Maliki Yawmiddin. There are two ways of reciting this ayah. Two ways of reciting, two famous ways of reciting this ayah. The first is Maliki, with the alif after the meme, which is the way that we recite. And from the Qurra that recite this, Asim, and that's us by the way. So we have Hafs and Asim. The Hafs is the student of Asim. Asim, Kisa'i, Ya'qub, and Khalaf. Ya'qub and Khalaf. So they recite Maliki. And the other recitation is Maliki. The other recitation is Maliki, i.e. without alif. Maliki Yawmiddin. Just like Surah An-Nas. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ مَلِكِ النَّاسِ. And this is the recitation of the rest. This is the recitation of the rest. A number of issues in regards to this. The first is, which one should you recite? Maliki or Maliki? Which one is better to recite? Now some ulama have said that it is better to recite Maliki because there's more reward in reciting Maliki. How is there more reward? Alif, you got an extra letter. So we know in the hadith that every letter that you recite, you got 10 rewards. So because we added a letter, you get 10 more rewards. However, Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah, when explaining this, he said, no, that's not the case. Rather, what is best is to recite both. Sometimes recite Maliki and sometimes recite Maliki, because that's what the Prophet did. The Prophet recited both. The Prophet ﷺ used to recite both. However, it's important to know that you shouldn't recite any qira'ah that you haven't studied and perfected. Okay, so if you've not studied the qira'at, then don't recite it, otherwise you're going to be making mistakes. And Maliki, it's not a big issue. If you want to recite that by yourself, no problem, because people don't normally make mistakes in that. But don't recite it in front of people. It can cause issues. So you always have to look at what you're reciting as well. So even myself, certain masajid, I do with the qira'at, like when I go Nelson, for example, or when I was, different masajid. Certain masajid I recited the qira'at, but certain masajid I don't, because people don't know and it can cause a lot of confusion.
I was going to ask, if you say Maliki, then do you have to recite the rest of the surah?
No, because there is a qira'ah which the only difference is Maliki, so it's fine. And it's fine anyway. Generally, it's fine. No. But that's the point. If you don't know the qira'at, then you should try. Don't read those qira'at unless you actually study them. Otherwise, you can fall into a lot of mistakes. And when you study those qira'at, not if you become hafiz, that's not enough. You have to perfect your recitation. Because I've heard people that come out and they say, I know 10 qira'at. You listen to them reciting hafs and they can't recite properly. Okay? So you have to perfect your hafs properly, normally reciting with the tajweed. And then after that, once you've got to a very good level, only then do you move to the other qira'at. The next issue is, what is the difference between Maliki and Maliki? The difference between Maliki and Maliki in terms of meaning. In terms of meaning. And I found two opinions of the ulama in regards to this. Two opinions of the ulama in regards to this. And you can look at Tafsir ibn Kathir and Tabari, they mention some of them. The first is that Maliki is more general. Maliki is more general because it means يَتَصَرَّفُ فِيمَا يَمْلِكُ, is that it is referring to the one who is allowed to do whatever he wants, or is able to do whatever he wants in that which he owns. In that which he owns. Whereas Malik, then the meaning is just on ownership. Just on ownership. So I'll explain the difference. You can own something, but you cannot necessarily do anything you want with it. You have a car, for example. Can you drive without road tax or without a license? No. Can you drive past the speed limit? No. So can you do what you want even though you own it? You can't. So they say Maliki means just to own, but Maliki gives the extra meaning of owning and being able to do whatever he wants. So it's a more general meaning. It's a more general meaning. Not meaning the word Maliki doesn't mean that Allah is not able to do what He wants. It's just that meaning isn't given. It's just referring to Him owning. That's just the meaning, and it's not negating Him not able to do anything else. That's one opinion. The other opinion.
Which one's the one?
Maliki is more general.
The one with the alif.
Without alif.
Without alif is general.
No, it's more general. No.
Thank you.
No. The second opinion, and ulama have mentioned others as well, is that Maliki or Maliki is Allah doing what He wants in His kingdomship through speech. Through speech, meaning Allah commands, do this, don't do this, and so on. Just like a king would do, the command, right? Whereas Maliki is al-mutasarrif, doing what Allah wants, controlling everything, bil fi'l, through His actions. So Allah, He Himself creates and He Himself provides and so on.
So I don't understand the second opinion.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, if He wants to create something, He can say kun, He says fayakun, right? Be, and it is. So has He's done that through speech. But in other times He creates through His actions, like in the Hadith, خَلَقَ اللَّهُ آدَمَ بِيَدِهِ, Allah created that Adam alayhi salam with His hands. So that's an action.
So which one is?
So Maliki is speech and Maliki is action. Maliki is speech and Maliki is action. The point being, in both opinions and both recitations of the word, what do we benefit? We benefit that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a complete owner and able to do whatever He wants with all of His creation, no matter whether it's through speech, whether it's through action, whether it's through ownership, whichever way it is, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a complete owner of all of that, and He can do whatever He wants. Now some fawaid here as well. Firstly, Arabic, I shall get to Arabic towards the end. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the first ayah, He says, all praises for Allah, belonging only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then after that, Allah mentions other names of Allah. Rabbul Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Malik Yawmiddin. So, it's something mentioned by Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah. He says that it shows that where some of these types of praises, where they take place, or where it is necessitated. Where it is necessitated. So the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Rabbul Alameen, that necessitates that we should praise Him. The fact that Allah is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, that necessitates that we should praise Him. The fact that He is Malik Yawmiddin, that necessitates that we should praise Him. Another benefit, so this first benefit was mentioned by Ibn Qayyim in his book Madarij As-Salikin. The second benefit is also mentioned by Ibn Qayyim, but in his book Al-Fawaid. It shows these first three ayat talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this shows that this surah is one of the foundations when it comes to the names of Allah. It comes to the names of Allah. And it shows the fact that Allah started with this, shows the importance of learning about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the effect that has on a person. In another place, Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, he says, we mentioned this in Usool Athalaatha, من عرف الله بأسمائه وصفاته وأفعاله أحبه لا محالة. Whoever knows Allah with His names, and attributes and actions will love Him without any doubt. Whoever knows Allah with His names, His names, attributes and actions, أحبه لا محالة. He will love Him without any doubt. So that shows that learning about Allah, His names and attributes is a means of gaining the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And other ulama have mentioned that it's also a means of gaining the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are many other benefits. Another benefit regarding the first three ayat is, if you look at how Allah started the Quran, Allah mentions in the beginning of the Quran, He mentions the fact that He is a number of characteristics. He mentions Rabbul Alameen. Then He mentions that He is Malik Yawmiddin. And He also mentioned His name Allah, Uluhiyyah. So Allah mentioned His Uluhiyyah, His Rububiyyah, and also a meaning of Rububiyyah, which is Mulk, yani Allah owning and controlling everything. Right? This is how Allah has started the Quran. How does Allah finish the Quran? قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ Rububiyyah. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. Then مَلِكِ النَّاسِ إِلَهِ النَّاسِ. So the way Allah started the Quran, the same way Allah finishes the Quran. So Allah in the beginning of the Quran, in Surah Fatihah, what is He mentioned? Alhamdulillah, as Uluhiyyah, إله الناس, رب العالمين, قل أعوذ برب الناس, and Malik Yawmiddin, Malik or Malik, or the recitation, قل أعوذ برب الناس, ملك الناس. So you can see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started the Quran, likewise he finished the Quran. Again, that shows the importance of learning about the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not only learning them but also feeling them, in the sense that you truly understand what they mean and acting in accordance to them. Another benefit is the Arabic one, which is Maliki Yawmiddin. Maliki is mudaf, and Yawm is mudaf ilayh. Those are not Arabic. And that shows us that Yawmiddin, it is belonging only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the owner of Yawmiddin, showing that it is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What do you think, which one is mudaf? Maliki is mudaf, and Yawm is mudaf ilayh. And by the way, one thing I forgot to mention is regarding the meaning of the word deen. Deen doesn't mean religion here. Deen doesn't mean religion. Who knows in Arabic what dain is? Dain.
Like recompense.
Recompense, yeah. But if somebody says alayhi dain, what do you? A debt, yeah. A debt. Or a loan maybe. But a debt, na'am. That's why Yawm al-Din, it translates to the day of recompense. You'll be paid back. Whatever actions you did, you'll be recompensed and repaid according to the actions that you did. So hence that's why it's called Yawm Maliki, it's called Yawm al-Din. Right, we've taken quite a bit. I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes inshallah, go over what we've taken, and at 8 o'clock we'll continue from إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين inshallah. So you've got 10 minutes, quickly revise over what we've taken inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Like I said, just because of time, we're just going to continue inshallah, but we're going to get back to the testing from next lesson. Now we're on the next ayah. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, meaning إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, it is only you we worship, وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, and it is only you we ask for help. And it is only you we ask for help. This ayah has a number of benefits. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, it is only you we worship. It is a person freeing himself from shirk. It is a person freeing himself from shirk. Meaning, oh Allah, it is only you worship, I don't worship anybody else. وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, and it is you we ask for help. A person frees himself from all types of power and ability and attributes that and depends only upon Allah. And attributes that and depends only upon Allah. That's why we say, لَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. And this is something that you can find, just general meaning, in other places in the Quran also. You can find it in other places in the Quran also. So for example, Surah Hud, ayah number 123, ayah number 123. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, فَاعْبُدْهُ وَتَوَكَّلَ عَلَيْهِ, worship Him, وَتَوَكَّلَ عَلَيْهِ, and then have reliance upon Him. Worship Him and have reliance upon Him. In Surah Mulk, ayah number 29, Surah Mulk, ayah number 29, قُلْ هُوَ الرَّحْمَنُ آمَنَّا بِهِ وَعَلَيْهِ تَوَكَّلْنَا. Say he is Ar-Rahman, I believe in him, and upon him I rely. And upon him I rely. So this meaning of worshipping only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then seeking his help and relying upon Allah, is something which is found throughout the Quran. Now some other benefits in regard to this ayah, some linguistic benefits, more specifically balagha. Firstly, the meaning of Iyyaka na'budu, we translate it as, it is only you we worship. The word only I added, the word only is not in the ayah. That's why if you translate it, you will put that between brackets if you want. However, that is the meaning of the ayah. Why? When you speak, do you say, what would you normally say? Ismail, what would you normally say? Would you say, we worship you, or would you say, it is you we worship? Which one would you say? We worship you. Okay. If you said the second, I'll be like, hey, you speak like that? Right, yeah, that's how people speak. We worship you, right? We don't say, it is you we worship. And likewise in Arabic. Yeah, and those are not Arabic. The fi'l, verb comes first, then the fa'il, the doer, and then the maf'ulun bih comes later normally. Here the maf'ulun bih has come first. In other words, the sentence structure has been changed. And we've brought that which should have come later, we brought it before. So it should be, we worship you. But we brought you before now. We've said it is you we worship. So we changed the sentence structure. And a benefit of that in Arabic language, when that happens in the Arabic language, they say yufid al-hasr. It shows hasr. Hasr means exclusivity. Hasr means exclusivity. Showing that it is only you we worship. It is only you we worship. And that's what the Arabs used to do. And this is mentioned in many tafasir. And the other issue is, we mentioned worship. We've talked about the meaning of worship before, right? In the Qawaaid Alarba, we mentioned the two meanings of worship, in terms of the action and in terms of the doer. But here, I want to talk about something else. And I think I mentioned this fa'idah as well, right? Is worship, in terms of the action, is a comprehensive name or noun, and it includes everything that Allah is happy and pleased with, as Shaykh al-Islam said. And there's different types: reciting Quran, making dua, giving sadaqah, being in the masjid. All of these are acts of worship. Now, is seeking help from Allah an act of worship? Yeah? Yeah? Right, so Allah in this ayah, He says, it is you we worship and it is you we ask for help. So Allah has mentioned both. Even though isti'ana, asking Allah for help, is a type of worship. It's already included in the first word. It's already included in the first word. So why does Allah separate the two? Even though it is you we worship, it is you we ask for help. Asking for help is a type of worship. So it's already included when you say Iyyaka na'budu. It is you we worship. So why has Allah mentioned it separately? Why has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned it separately? Who remembers the answer?
Emphasis.
Emphasis, na'am. Emphasis upon seeking help from Allah. It's as though a person is saying that, oh Allah, it is only you we worship, but we are not able to fulfill this worship except by your help. Except by your help. It's mentioned in many tafasir. Like Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah in Madarij al-Salikin has a long statement. I'm just going to mention the first part of it. He has a longer statement talking about this ayah and so on. But he says, وَتَقْدِيمُ الْعِبَادَةِ عَلَى الْإِسْتِعَانَةِ, I'm bringing worship or giving precedence to worship before seeking help, fil Fatihah, in Surah Fatihah, من باب تقديم الغايات على الوسائل. This is another benefit, or a similar benefit. This is from the chapter of giving precedence to, or bringing forth, the goal and then the goal upon the means, the objective upon the means, i.e. he's saying that the first thing is mentioned is the objective. He's explaining the same point but in a different way. He's saying the first thing mentioned is the objective or the goal, which is to worship Allah. And then the second thing is the means. How? What are the means? How can we worship Allah? Only if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the ability to do so, or if only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps us in that regard. Another benefit in this ayah is you can see that what do you call it in English? It's basically the first three ayat we were talking about Allah in the third person. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of all the world, the third person. Now we've gone to second person. Allah, it is you we worship and it is you we ask for help. What's that called? Who are you talking to in English? Huh?
Second.
No, it's called second person, but what does that come under? First person, second person, third person. So if I want to say, what changed? What changed?
Perspective.
It's called perspective, is that what it's called? Khas. See, my English ain't that good. My Arabic's alright, but in English it's not that good. Right. No, it's not tense, it's past tense, future tense. Whatever it's called in English, maybe someone can benefit, inshallah. Ask your college teachers. Let me know what they say. Anyways, that changed, wherever that is, that changed. From third person to second person. And this is from the customs of the Arabs. That if they want to give emphasis to a certain point and make the person listen more and to make the speech sound better, they would change whatever the word is, you need to find out. They would change that from whether it's third person, second to first to second, whichever way it is, but they change it. Yeah? In Arabic they say khitab. Khitab means speaking to someone. Hence, a khutbah is a sermon when you're speaking to people, right? And a khutbah, what's a khutbah? No, khutbah. Khutbah is khutbah Jum'ah. Khutbah is engagement. So you get married and you get engaged, it's called a khutbah because now you've spoken and you've agreed to marry. No. Anyways, that is a benefit. Another benefit is Allah repeating the word Iyaka. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayah repeating the word Iyaka. So Allah said Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in. Why does Allah repeat? Because it would make sense without. You could say, oh Allah, it is you we worship and we ask for help. It would make sense. Why does Allah repeat Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in? Allah repeats each one just twice for each verb, showing the importance of each one separately. Showing the importance of each one separately. It's mentioned by Tafsir Ibn Atiyah and others. Another issue in this ayah is why are we using the pronoun we in this ayah? Or in Arabic the noon. I think Medina, you have a research in Medina Book 1. Why do you say na'budu instead of a'budu? Na'budu, we are worshipping. Instead of a'budu, I am worship. Why do you say, oh Allah, it is you, we worship, instead of saying, oh Allah, it is you, I worship? Do you understand the question here? Why are we using the word we instead of I? The ulama mentioned different reasons. And Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah mentions, we're going to mention 3 reasons. Now the first 2 are mentioned by in different tafasir books, and then the third is mentioned by Ibn Qayyim in Bada'i' Al-Fawaid. So some ulama have said, because this is a station, this is what we're talking about, like Iyaka na'budu, it is you we worship, or it is only you we worship. It is such a great station that it's not specific to just you speaking. It's not specific to just the one who is saying this. Rather, this is such a great position that we have to include everybody who is included in this, which is all of the slaves have to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it shows humility that it's not just me that's worshipping you, that it's everybody who has to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seek His aid. The second is, it could mean ta'zeem. In the ta'zeem meaning to glorify oneself. Now normally Allah does this a lot with Himself in the Quran. So we took, for example, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidhun. Allah says, we are the ones who brought down the Quran and we are the ones who preserve it. But Allah is talking about Himself. You know, Allah, that's a form of glorifying Himself. But now this ayah is not referring to Allah. Na'budu, we, is referring to us. So how does it show glorification? Are we glorifying ourselves? No, that doesn't. Wouldn't that go against humility and so on? Like the meaning here, when you talk about a person glorifying himself and so on, venerating himself, is the meaning of the ayah becomes, it's as though Allah is saying to the slave, if you are worshipping, or if you are in worship, in a state of worship, then you are a noble person, or you are a person of high status. And if you are a person who is seeking help only from Allah and nobody else, then you are a person of high status. And if you are worshipping other than Allah, or you are seeking help from other than Allah, then you are not a person of high status. Then you are not a person of high status. Does that one make sense? Yeah? The third point is because it's a position showing need. It's a position of need, showing that you are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it shows when you're in need, not just me, but all of us are in need, so include everyone. So similar to the first point. But Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah mentions this. So all of us are in need of your worship and of your aid. And the last point in regards to this ayah is some of the Salaf, they have said, some of the Salaf have said, and it's mentioned in Tafsir Ibn Kathir, Al-Fatihatu Sirrul Quran. Surah Al-Fatiha is the secret of the Quran. وَسِرُّهَا, and its secret, i.e. the secret of Surah Fatiha, هذه الكلمة, this statement, إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. It is this statement, إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. And other ulama have also said, like Ibn Rajab, rahimahullah, he says that regarding إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين, إنها تجمع السر الكتب المنزلة من السماء كلها. That it gathers the secret of all of the books which have been revealed from the skies. Why? Because the whole message comes back to this, which is worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And always, no matter what's going on in your life, depending and relying and taking it back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is in regard to إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. Move on to the next ayah. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Firstly, the munasabah of this ayah. The munasabah of this ayah to the previous ayah. Why is this ayah mentioned after the previous ayah? After we've asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help, then we've asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance. So this is a form of help that we are asking from Allah. Because through this guidance is our worship rectified. Is our worship rectified. And whoever is not guided to the correct path, then he will not reach his objective of worshipping Allah correctly. He will not reach his objective by worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala correctly. And in here, Allah has said, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. We say, guide us, literally guide us the straight path. Guide us the straight path. Now guidance in the text is of two types. Guidance generally in the Quran and in the Sunnah is of two types. The first is Hidayatu At-Tawfiq. Hidayatu At-Tawfiq. And the second is known as Hidayatu Al-Irshad. Or maybe you should say the other way around. Hidayatu Al-Irshad and Hidayatu At-Tawfiq. Hidayatu Al-Irshad is the guidance of, you can say showing, the guidance of showing or indicating. I mean, both words tawfiq and irshad translate to guidance, but I'm going to translate it to more what the meaning is. What this basically means is that type of guidance where you show the person the straight path. Like what we're doing now. If you're learning Islamic knowledge, then I am guiding you, but what type of guidance? I'm telling you what's right and wrong, in that sense. Just like if you came to me in the car and you say, I need to get to this place, how do I get there? I tell you the way. I say, you go straight, take the first right, second left, go on the motorway, take this exit, and you're there, right? Okay. But just because I've told you, does that mean you'll reach there? No. That's why we come to the second one, Hidayatu At-Tawfiq. The guidance of, I explain the meaning, to translate it in one word is quite difficult. But Hidayat Tawfiq is referring to taking somebody upon that path. Taking somebody to actually, guide that person and take them onto that path. So, if you look at the Quran and Sunnah, you'll find that the first type is used, and you'll find that the other type is used, but we differentiate between the two meanings. So, for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَإِنَّكَ لَتَهْدِي إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. That, O Muhammad, you guide ila to the straight path. What type of guidance is he referring to here? Irshad. That, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you are the one that showed the people the right and wrong, and so on. Right? And Allah, He says, وَاللَّهُ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءِ إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. Allah guides whoever He wants to the straight path. What type of guidance is there? Tawfiq. Yes. Does the Prophet own Hidayat al-Tawfiq? No, because he couldn't guide his uncle, for example. So these are two different types of Hidayah. Now in this ayah, a benefit is which type of guidance is meant in this ayah. Which type of guidance is meant in this ayah? Hidayat al-Tawfiq or Hidayat al-Irshad. Now one benefit that the ulama mention, is, this is mentioned by Ibn Uthaymin as well in his tafsir. He says that this verb, ihdina, guide us, it is ta'diya, meaning basically it is used without any harf jar. Harf jar doesn't know Arabic, ila, min, fi, these type of words. Okay? Any prepositions. None of those are used. Because normally if you look at the ayah, like وَإِنَّكَ لَتَهْدِي إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ, O Muhammad, you guide ila, to the straight path. Okay? So that shows Hidayatu al-Irshad. But in Surah, in Ihdina as-Sirat al-Mustaqim, none of that is used. It's Ihdina as-Sirat. Guide us the straight path. The ulama mentioned the fact that Allah didn't use any harf jar, it shows and we learn that both types of guidances are meant in this ayah. The Hidayat al-Irshad, which is also known as Hidayat al-Ilm, the guidance of knowledge, and Hidayat al-Tawfiq. Both of them are intended in this ayah. And some ulama, they also mention a fourth meaning as well, a third meaning as well. They also mention a third meaning as well, which is, so we have two meanings so far. When you say Ihdina Sirata Mustaqim, we mean two things. Oh, Allah, show us a straight path, tell us what is right and wrong. And in the second, don't just show us a straight path, but Allah take us onto that straight path. The third meaning that some ulama add is, and keep us firm upon that straight path. And keep us firm upon that straight path. And it's something very important to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep you firm upon that. Don't think that if somebody says, Yahdi, or may Allah guide you, it's not a bad thing. Say Ameen. Yeah? Because one of the meanings of that is, may Allah keep you firm. That's why we say, Ihdina Sirata Mustaqim. And when a person sneezes, Alhamdulillah, Rahmakallah, Yahdikum Allah, may Allah guide you. One of the meanings is, may Allah keep you firm. And that's why from the most frequent du'as of the Prophet ﷺ was what? Who knows? Ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala dinik. O turner of hearts, keep my heart firm upon your religion. And in the beginning of Surah Ali Imran, those that had knowledge, they would make a dua, Rabbana la tuzigh qulubana. Oh Allah, do not let our hearts deviate ba'da idh hadaytana, after you have guided it. So don't think just because you're a Muslim, that's it. La. You have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep you firm upon the correct path. So this is the meaning of Ihdina. The meaning of the word Sirat, Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, he says in Bada'i' al-Fawaid, he says in his book Bada'i' al-Fawaid, he says As-Sirat, the path, As-Sirat, ma jama'a khamsata awsafin, is what has gathered 5 characteristics. Is what has gathered 5 characteristics. أن يكون طريقا مستقيما, to be a straight path. To be a straight path. So the first thing has to be mustaqim, straight. I.e. it's not going left or right or anything like that. Second, sahlan, to be easy. To be easy. The third, maslukan. Maslukan meaning is treaded upon. Other people can also tread upon this path. Wasi'an, vast. It's not something which is narrow, only for a few people. That's something vast. Musilan ila al-maqsood. And fifthly, it takes you to the objective. It takes you to the objective. And then he says, the Arabs do not call a path which is mu'waj, which is not straight, they don't call that a path, a sirat. Nor a path which is hard, they don't call that a sirat. Wala al-masdud, nor the path which is cut off or blocked off. Ghayr al-mawsool, and that which doesn't take you to the objective, and that is not known as sirat. So you can see that when we make dua for a sirat, what type of path are we referring to? Such a beautiful path, that is a straight path. It's an easy path. Other people are treading upon it as well. It's a vast path. It's not restricted to just one person or 2 people or something like that. And it takes you to your objective, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Sirat al-Mustaqim, many ulama have given different definitions. From the Salaf, some have said it means the Quran. Some people have, so the path of the Quran. Some have said it means the path of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some have said it means the path of Islam. And all of these mean the same thing. All of these mean the same thing. Because whoever follows the Quran follows the Sunnah. Whoever follows the Quran and Sunnah is following the path of Islam. So what we'll do inshallah for today, I'm just going a bit long, we'll stop here inshallah. Next week we'll finish the tafsir, and also there's a few fiqh issues as well that I wanted to quickly discuss as well. So make sure next week, next Friday, you guys go over everything with Surah Al-Fatihah. I won't test you on the introduction. You can leave the introduction for now, because I know we've added a lot and there's a lot more to write. So just focus on Surah Al-Fatihah for now. Okay? Once we move on later, then I'll tell you to come back. But make sure you guys revise Surah Al-Fatihah. So everything that we've taken in Surah Al-Fatihah so far, make sure you guys revise all of that, inshallah. Now, any questions? Next week's lesson is when? Friday after Isha, same time. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.